And then, is everybody ready to go live?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Please everybody mute out except for Tamara if you possibly can. Okay.
Hi, everyone on Facebook. I hope you're having a lovely day. Living Room Shakespeare is coming to you a little early this week because some of our participants will be observing some holiday activities later. So this week we are going to be doing some scenes and monologues for you. We have familiar faces, we have new faces. We're doing some fun scenes, some different scenes, some traditional scenes. As always, we ask if you have any dollars that you can see fit to donate, that you click the link that will be attached to this for Rhinebeck Center for Performing Arts, even if you have $2. If you have 100, that's great too. We welcome any donations. We're just a small theater that's hoping to continue and make more art after this quarantine. But in the meantime, we are still making art virtually. We have friends from all over the country, all over the world, all different experiences who just want to do some Shakespeare. Without further ado, Christine, yes? Not yet. Okay, that's fine. You will get scenes from some folks chose their scenes. Some folks said, give me anything. And I had the really fun task of seeing what would be a good challenge or what seemed like something I personally selfishly would like to see them do. So you will see a assortment. You will also see the importance of being earnest. So you're going to see a range of things tonight, and we hope you enjoy. Without further ado, I will pass it along to Christine, our fearless and gorgeous stage manager. Christine?
Hello, everybody. Okay, so here's the technicals of how tonight is going to work. I will announce approximately 3 scenes at a time to give you a sense, especially to give our actors a sense of what's coming up for them because scenes are not terribly long. Everybody's done us a lovely job and written small summaries for their scenes, so I'll be able to give you a little bit of a sense of where in every show we are, and then we'll let the actors go and do their scene. So our first 3 scenes of the night will be Henry IV, Part 2, Act 1, Scene 2, Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2, and a song from Much Ado About Nothing. So first up, we have Henry IV, Part 2, Act 1, Scene 2. Our actors are Chris in the role of Falstaff, Joe in the role of the Chief Justice, and Liz as the page. Falstaff jousts verbally with the Chief Justice, offering philosophy along the way. Actors?
Sirrah, you giant, what says the doctor to my water?
He said, sir, the water itself was a good, healthy water, but for the party that owed it, he might have more diseases than he knew for.
Men of all sorts take pride to gird at me. The brain of this foolish compounded clay, man, is not able to invent anything that intends to laughter more than I invent, or is invented on me. I'm not only witty in myself, but the cause that wit is in other men. I do here walk before thee like a sow that has overwhelmed her litter but one. If the prince put thee into my service for any other reason than to set me off, why then I have no judgment. He may keep his own grace, but he is almost out of mine, I can assure him. What said Master Donaldson about the satin for my short cloak and my slops?
He said, sir, you should procure him better assurance than Bardolph. He would not take his hand and yours. He liked not the security.
Let him be damned like a glutton. Plague God, his tongue be hotter. A horse on a kitapel, rascally, yea, forsooth, knave. To bear a gentleman in the hand and then stand upon security? I looked he should have sent me 22 yards of satin, as I am a true knight. And he sends me security. Well, he may sleep in security, for he hath the horn of abundance, and the lightness of his wife shines through it. And yet cannot he see through? He have his own lantern to light him. Where's Bardolph?
He's gone in Smithfield to buy your worship a horse.
I bought him at St. Paul's. He'll buy me a horse in Smithfield. And I could but get me a wife in the stews. Our man, horsed and wived.
Sir, here comes the nobleman that committed the prince for striking him about Bardolph.
Wait close. I will not see him.
What's he that goes there?
Falstaff, an't please your lordship.
He that was in question for the robbery?
He, my lord, but he hath since done good service at Shrewsbury, and, as I hear, is now going with some charge to the Lord John of Lancaster.
What, to York? Call him back again.
Sir John Falstaff!
Boy, tell him I'm deaf.
You must speak louder, my master is deaf.
I am sure he is, to the hearing of anything good. Go pluck him by the elbow. I must speak with him.
Sir John!
Ooh, what a young knave in begging! Is there not wars? Is there not employment? Doth not the king lack subjects? Do not the rebels need soldiers? It would be a shame to be on any side but one. It's worse shame to beg. Hunt counter, hence avaunt.
Sir, my lord would speak with you.
Sir John Falstaff, a word with you.
Oh, my good lord, God give your lordship good time of the day. I'm glad to see your lordship abroad. I heard say your lordship was sick. I hope your lordship goes abroad by advice. Your lordship, though not clear past your youth, have yet some smack of an ague in you, some relish of the saltiness of time in you. I must humbly beseech your lordship to have a reverent care of your health.
Sir John, I sent for you before your expedition.
And please your lordship, I hear his majesty is returned with some discomfort from Wales.
I talk not of his majesty. You would not come when I sent for you.
And I hear, moreover, his highness is fallen into a kind of lethargy, and please your lordship, kind of sleeping in the blood, a hoarse and tingling.
What tell you me of it? It is a kind of deafness.
It is a kind of deafness.
I think you are fallen into the disease, for you hear not what I say to you.
Oh, very well, my lord. Very well. Rather, and please you, it is the disease of not listening, the disease of not marking, that I am troubled with all.
To punish you by the heels would amend the attention of your ears. I sent for you when there were matters against you for your life to come speak with me.
As I was then advised by my learned counsel in the laws of this land service, I did not come.
Well, the truth is, Sir John, you live in great infamy.
He that buckles himself in my belt cannot live in less.
Your means are very slender, and your waist is great.
I would it were otherwise. I would my means were greater, and my waist were slender.
You have misled the youthful prince.
No, the young prince hath misled me. I am the fellow with the great belly, and he is my dog.
Well, I am loath to gall a new-healed wound. Your day's service at Shrewsbury hath a little gilded over your night's exploit on Gad's Hill. You may thank the unquiet time for your quiet o'er posting that action.
My lord.
But since all is well, keep it so. There's not a white hair in your face, but should have his effect of gravity.
His effect of gravy.
You follow the young prince up and down like his ill angel.
Not so, my lord. You that are old, consider not the capacities of us that are young. You do measure the heat of our livers with the bitterness of your galls, and we that are the voward of our youth, I must confess, are wags too.
Do you set down your name in the scroll of youth? that are written down old with all the characters of age? Have you not a moist eye, a dry hand, a yellow cheek, a white beard, a decreasing leg, an increasing belly? Is not your voice broken, your wind short, your chin double, your wit single, and every part about you blasted with antiquity? And will you yet call yourself young? Fie, 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 Sir John.
My lord, I was born about 3 o'clock in the afternoon with a white head and something of a round belly. For my voice, I've lost it with hallowing and singing of anthems. To approve my youth further, I will not. The truth is, I am only old in judgment and understanding. For the box of the ear that the prince gave you, he gave it like a rude prince, and you took it like a sensible lord. I've checked him for it, and the young lion repents. Marry, not in ashes and sackcloth, but in new silk and old sack.
Will God send the prince a better companion?
God send the companion a better prince. I cannot rid my hands of him.
Well, the king hath severed you, and Prince Harry. I hear you are going with Lord John of Lancaster against the Archbishop and the Earl of Northumberland.
Yea, I thank your pretty sweet wit for it. But look you, pray, all you that kiss my lady peace at home, that our armies join not in a hot day. For by the Lord, I take but 2 shirts with me, and I mean not to sweat extraordinarily. If it be a hot day, and I brandish anything but a bottle, I would I might never spit white again. There's not a dangerous action can peep out its head and thrust upon it. Well, I cannot last ever. I would to God my name were not so terrible to the enemy as it is.
Be honest. Be honest. And God bless your expedition.
Oh, will your lordship lend me £1,000 to furnish me forth?
Not a penny, not a penny. You are too impatient to bear crosses. Fare you well.
Thank you. That was lovely, everybody. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my pages straight. Our next scene will be Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2, actors prepare. Following that, we will have Sigh No More Ladies, which is a song from Much Ado About Nothing, and All Is Well That Ends Well, Act 2, Scene 1. Yes, so our next scene is Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2. Our actors are Cassius, played by John, and Brutus, played by Vera. A parry between Cassius and Brutus, Cassius is trying to glean how far to push Brutus in disenfranchising Caesar from Brutus's loyalty. Actors?
Well, will you go see the order of the course?
Not I.
Well, I pray you do.
I am not gamesome. I do lack some of the part of that quick spirit that is in Antony. Let me not hinder, Cassius, your desires. I'll leave you.
Brutus, I do observe you now of late. I have not from your eyes that gentleness and show of love as I was wont to have. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you.
Cassius, be not deceived. If I have veiled my look, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Vexed I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil perhaps to my behaviors, but let not therefore my good friends be grieved, among which number Cassius be you one, nor construe any further my neglect, than that poor Brutus, with himself at war, forgets the shows of love to other men.
Then, Brutus, I have much mistook your passion, by means whereof this breast of mine hath buried thoughts of great value, worthy cogitations. Tell me, good Brutus, can you see your face?
No, Cassius, for the eye sees not itself, but by reflection, by some other things.
Just. And it is very much lamented, Brutus, that you have no such mirrors as will turn your hidden worthiness into your eye. Then you might see your shadow. I have heard where many of the best respect in Rome, except immortal Caesar, speaking of Brutus and groaning underneath this age's yoke, have wished that noble Brutus had his eyes.
Into what dangers would you lead me, Cassius, that you would have me seek into myself for that which is not in me?
Therefore, good Brutus, be prepared to hear. And since you know you cannot see yourself so well as by reflection, I, your glass, will modestly discover to yourself that of yourself which you yet know not of. And he not jealous on me, gentle Brutus, were I a common laughter, or did use to stale with ordinary oaths my love to every new protester, if you know that I do fawn on men and hug them hard, and after scandal them, or if you know that I profess myself in banqueting to all the rout, then hold me dangerous.
What means this shouting? I do fear the people choose Caesar for their king.
Aye. Do you fear it? Then must I think you would not have it so.
I would not, Cassius, yet I love him well. But wherefore do you hold me here so long? What is it that you would impart to me? If it be aught toward the general good, set honor in one eye and death in the other, and I will look on both indifferently. For let the gods so speed me, as I love the name of honor more than I fear death.
I know that virtue to be in you, Brutus, as well as I do know your outward favor. Well, honor is the subject of my story. I cannot tell you what you and other men think of this life, but for my single self, I had as lief not be as live to be, in awe of such a thing as I myself. I was born free as Caesar, so are you. We both have fed as well, and we both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, "Darest thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood, and swim to yonder point?" Upon the word, accoutré as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow. So indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with the hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, "Help me, Cassius, or I sink." I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulder, the old Achaeus here bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I, tired Caesar, and this man is now become a god. And Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body. If Caesar carelessly but nod at him, he had a fever when he was in Spain, and when the fit was on him, I did mark how he did shake. 'Tis true, this god did shake. His coward lips did from their color fly, and that same eye, whose bend doth awe the world, did lose his luster. I did hear him groan, aye, and that tongue of his that bade the Romans mark him and write his speeches in their books. Alas, it cried, "Get me some drink, Titinius," as a sick girl. Ye gods, it doth amaze me. A man of such a feeble temper should get so the start of the majestic world and bear the palm alone.
Another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar.
Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. Sound them, it doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them, it is as heavy. Conjure with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar, now in the names of all the gods at once. Upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed, that he is grown so great? Age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. when went there by an age since the great flood, but it was famed with more than just one man. When could they say till now that talked of Rome, that her wide walls encompass but one man? Now, is it Rome indeed, and room enough, when there is in it but only one man? Oh, you and I have heard our fathers say, there was a Brutus once that would have brooked the eternal devil to keep his state in Rome as easily as a king.
That you do love me, I am nothing jealous. What you would work me to, I have some aim. How I have thought of this and of these times I shall recount hereafter. For this present I would not, so with love I might entreat you, be any further moved. What you have said I will consider. What you have to say I will with patience hear, and find a time both meet to hear and answer such high things. Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome under these hard conditions as this time is like to lay upon us.
I am glad that my weak words have struck but thus much show of fire from Brutus.
The games are done and Caesar is returning.
As they pass by, pluck Casca by the sleeve, and he will, after his own sour fashion, tell you what hath preceded worthy note today.
I will do so. But look you, Cassius, the angry spot doth glow on Caesar's brow, and all the rest look like a chidden train. Calpurnia's cheek is pale, and Cicero looks with such ferret and such fiery eyes that we have seen him in the Capitol, being crossed in conference by some senators.
Casca will tell us what the matter is.
All right, thank you so much. Yay. Yeah, we got some folks are clapping and snapping. Yay. They're great performances. I wish we could have applause. It doesn't quite work that way. Next up, we're going to have the song Sigh No More Ladies from Much Ado About Nothing. So Michael, prepare for that. Following that, we will have All's Well That Ends Well, Act 2, Scene 1. We will have also a scene from Richard III. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have your act and scene for that Richard III location. And then we'll also have Henry IV, Part 1, Act 1, Scene 2. So for now, we're going to have Sigh No More Ladies from Much Ado About Nothing by Michael. He sent a little prep for it. It says, Shakespeare oftentimes has a reputation for being dramatic and tragic, but there are plenty of moments that are silly, and there are songs as well, which can be somewhat zany.
Note this before any of my notes. There's not a note of mine worth the noting. Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. One put on sea and one on shore, to one thing constant never. So sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe in a hey nonny nonny, a hey nonny nonny. Sing no more ditties, sing no more of dumb so dull and heavy. The fraud of man was ever so, since summer verse was leafy. So sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into a hey nonny nonny.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael. That was beautiful. So our next scene is going to be from All's Well That Ends Well, Act 2, Scene 1. So actors prepare. Following that, we will have Richard III, and then we will have Henry IV, Part 1, Act 1, Scene 2, and then Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 3. So for now, we have All's Well That Ends Well, Act 2, Scene 1. Our actors are the King, played by John, and Helena, played by Devora. The king is sick with an incurable disease, and Helena tries to convince the king to let her treat him with her father's cure. Actors?
Now, fair one, Does your business follow us?
Aye, my good lord, Gerard de Narbonne was my father, and what he did profess well found.
I knew him.
The rather will I spare my praises towards him, knowing him is enough. On beds of death many receipts he gave me, chiefly one, which as the dearest issue of his practice and of his old experience, the oily darling, he bade me store up as a triple eye, safer than mine own too, more dear I have so. And hearing your majesty is touched with that malignant cause wherein the honor of my dear father's gift stands chief in power, I come to tender it and my appliance with all bound humbleness.
Oh, well, thank you, madam. But may not be so credulous of cure. When our most learned doctors leave us and the congregated college have concluded that laboring art can never ransom nature from her insatiable estate, I say we must not so stain our judgment or corrupt our hope, to prostitute our past cure malady to empirics, or to dissever so our great self and our credit to esteem. A senseless help when help past sense we deem.
My duty then shall pay me for my pains. I will no more enforce mine office on you, humbly entreating from your royal thought a modest one to bear me back again.
I cannot give thee less to be called grateful. Thou thought'st to help me, and such thanks I give as one near death to those that wish him live. But what if fool I know, thou knowest no part? I know in all my peril, thou no art.
What I can do no hurt to try, since you set up your rest 'gainst remedy. He that of greatest work is finisher oft does them by the weakest minister. So holy writ in babes hath judgment shown when judges have been babes. Great floods have flown from simple sources, and great seas have dried when miracles have by the greatest been denied. Oft expectation fails, and most oft there where most it promises, and oft it hits where hope is coldest and despair most fits.
Oh, I must not hear thee. Fare thee well, kind maid. Thy pains not used must by thyself be paid. Proffers not took reap thanks for their reward.
Inspired merit so by breath is barred. It is not so with him that all thing knows, as 'tis with us that square our guests by shows. But most it is presumption in us when that help of heaven we count the act of men. Dear sir, to my endeavors give consent. Of heaven, not me, make an experiment. I am not an impostor that proclaim myself against the level of mine aim. But know I think, and think I know most sure, my art is not past power, nor your past cure.
Art thou so confident? Within what space hopest thou my cure?
The greatest grace lending grace, ere twice the horses of the sun shall bring their fiery torture, his diurnal ring, ere twice in murk and occidental damp, moist Hesperus hath quenched his sleepy lamp, or 24 times the pilot's glass hath told the thievish minutes how they pass. What is infirm from your sound part shall fly, health shall live free, and sickness freely die.
Well, upon thy certainty and confidence, what darest thou venture?
Acts of impudence, a strumpet's boldness, a divulged shame, traduced by odious ballads, my maiden's name seared otherwise. Nay, worse, if worse, extended with vilest torture. Let my life be ended.
Well, methinks in thee some blessed spirit doth speak his powerful sound within an organ weak. And what impossibility would slay in common sense saves another way? Thy life is dear for all that life can rate. Worth name of life in thee hath estimate. Youth, beauty, wisdom, courage all. That happiness in prime can happy call. Thou this to hazard needs must intimate. Skill infinite or monstrous desperate. Sweet practicer, thy psychic I will try, that ministers thine own death.
If I break time or flinch in property of what I spoke, unpitied, let me die, and well deserved. Not helping, death's my fee. But if I help, what do you promise me?
Make thy demand.
But will you make it even?
Aye, by my scepter, my hopes of heaven.
Then shalt thou give me with thy kingly hand what my husband in thy power I will command. Exempted be from me the arrogance to choose from forth the royal blood of France, my low and humble name to propagate with any branch or image of thy state, but such a one, thy vessel, whom I know is free for me to ask thee to bestow.
Here is my hand, the premises observed. Thy will be my performance shall be served. So make the choice of thine own time, for I, thy resolved patient, on thee still rely. More should I question thee, and more I must, though more to know could not be more to trust. From whence thou camest, how tended on, but rest unquestioned, welcome and undoubted blessed. Give me some help here. If thou proceed as high as word, my deed shall match thy meed.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Fix that hair back up, John. Lovely. All right, so we will be moving on with Richard III, Actors Prepare. Coming after that will be Henry IV, Part 1, Act 1, Scene 2, and then Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 3. So our next scene is from Richard III. Our actors are Lady Anne, played by Molly, and Richard, played by Richard. Lady Anne, while bearing the corpse of Henry VI through the streets of London and publicly mourning his death, is confronted by Richard of Gloucester. Gloucester. I know cities in London. They aren't in London, they're in England, who killed Henry, and who has both a confession and a proposal for Anne. Actors?
Set down your honorable load, if honor may be shrouded in a hearse, whilst I a while obsequiously lament the untimely fall of virtuous Lancaster. Poor key-cold figure of a holy king, pale ashes of the house of Lancaster, thou bloodless remnant of that royal blood, be it lawful that I invocate thy ghost to hear the lamentations of poor Anne, wife to thy Edward, to thy slaughtered son, stabbed by the selfsame hand that made these wounds. Lo, in these windows that let forth thy life, I pour the helpless balm of my poor eyes. Cursed be the hand that made these fatal holes. Cursed be the heart that had the heart to do it. Cursed the blood that let this blood from hence. More direful hap betide that hated wretch that makes us wretched by the death of thee than I can wish to adders, spiders, toads, or any creeping venomed thing that lives. If ever he have child, abortive be it. prodigious and untimely brought to light, whose ugly and unnatural aspect may fright the hopeful mother at the view, and that be ere 'tis unhappiness. And if ever he have wife, let her be made as miserable by the death of him as I am made by my poor lord and thee. Come now towards Chertsey with your holy load, taken from Paul's to be interred there. And still, as you are weary of the weight, rest you, whiles I lament King Henry's course.
Stay, you that bear the course, and set it down.
What black magician conjures up this fiend to stop devoted charitable deeds?
Villains, set down the course, or by St. Paul, I'll make a course of him that disobeys. Unmannered dog, stand thou when I command, advance thy halbert higher than my breast, or, by St. Paul, I'll strike thee to my foot and spurn upon thee, beggar for thy boldness.
What do you tremble? Are you all afraid? Alas, I blame you not, for you are mortal, and mortal eyes cannot endure the devil. Avaunt, thou dreadful minister of hell! Thou hast but power over his mortal body. His soul thou canst not have, therefore be gone.
Sweet saint for charity, be not so cursed.
Foul devil, for God's sake hence, and trouble us not. For thou hast made the happy earth thy hell, filled it with cursing cries and deep exclaims. If thou delight to view thy heinous deeds, behold this pattern of thy butcheries. O gentlemen, see, see, dead Henry's wounds open their congealed mouths and bleed afresh. Blush, blush, thou lump of foul deformity, for 'tis thy presence that exhales this blood from cold and empty veins where no blood dwells. Thy deed, inhuman and unnatural, provokes this deluge most unnatural. O God, with which this blood madest, revenge his death. O earth, which this blood drinkest, revenge his death. Either heaven with lightning strike the murderer dead, or earth gape open wide and eat him quick, as thou dost swallow up this good king's blood, which his hell-governed arm hath butchered.
Lady, you know no rules of charity, which renders good for bad, blessings for curses.
Villain, thou knowest no law of God nor man. No beast so fierce but he knows some touch of pity.
But I know none, and therefore am no beast.
Oh, wonderful, when devils tell the truth.
More wonderful, when angels are so angry. Vouchsafe, divine perfection of a woman, of these supposed evils, to give me leave, by circumstance, but to acquit myself.
Vouchsafe diffused infection of a man, for these known evils, but to give me leave, by circumstance, to curse thy cursed self.
Fairer than tongue can name thee, let me have some patient leisure to excuse myself.
Fouler than heart can think thee, thou canst make no excuse current but to hang thyself.
By such despair I should accuse myself.
And by despairing shouldst thou stand excused, for doing worthy vengeance on thyself, which didst unworthy slaughter upon others.
Say that I slew them not?
Why, then they are not dead. But dead they are, and devilish slave by thee.
I did not kill your husband.
Why, then he is alive.
Nay, he is dead, but slain by Edward's hand.
In thy foul throat thou liest. Queen Margaret saw thy murderous falchion smoking in his blood, the which thou once didst bend against her breast, but that thy brothers beat aside the point.
I was provoked by her slanderous tongue, which laid their guilt upon my guiltless shoulders.
Thou wast provoked by thy bloody mind, which never dreamt on aught but butcheries. Didst thou not kill this king?
I grant ye.
Dost grant me, hedgehog? Then God grant me too, Thou mayest be damned for that wicked deed. He was gentle, mild, and virtuous.
The fitter for the King of heaven that hath him.
He is in heaven, where thou shalt never come.
Let him thank me, that hope to send him thither, for he was fitter for that place than earth.
And thou unfit for any place but hell.
Yes, one place else, if you will hear me name it.
Some dungeon.
Your bedchamber.
I'll rest betide the chamber where thou liest.
So will it, madam, till I lie with you.
I hope so.
I know so. But, gentle Lady Anne, to leave this keen encounter of our wits and fall somewhat into a slower method, is not the causer of the timeless deaths of these Plantagenets, Henry and Edward, as blameful as the executioner?
Thou art the cause and most accursed effect.
Your beauty was the cause of that effect. Your beauty, which did haunt me in my sleep, to undertake the death of all the world, so I might live 1 hour in your sweet bosom.
I thought that, I tell thee, homicide, these nails should rend that beauty from my cheeks.
These eyes could never endure sweet beauty's wreck. You should not blemish it if I stood by. As all the world is cheered by the sun, so I by that. It is my day, my life.
Black night o'ershade thy day, and death thy life.
Curse not thyself, fair creature, thou art both.
I would I were to be revenged on thee.
It is a quarrel most unnatural, to be revenged on him that loveth you.
It is a quarrel just and reasonable to be revenged on him that slew my husband.
He that bereft thee, lady, of thy husband, did it to help thee to a better husband.
His better doth not breathe upon the earth.
He lives that loves thee better than he could.
Name him.
Plantagenet.
Why, that was he.
The selfsame name, but one of better nature.
Where is he?
Here. Why dost thou spit at me?
Would it were mortal poison for thy sake.
Never came poison from so sweet a place.
Never hung poison on a fouler toad. Out of my sight, thou dost infect my eyes.
Thine eyes, sweet lady, have infected mine.
Would they were basilisks to strike thee dead.
I would they were, that I might die at once. For now they kill me with a living death. Those eyes of thine from mine have drawn salt tears, shamed their aspect with store of childish drops. These eyes that never shed remorseful tear. No, not when my father York and Edward wept, to hear the piteous moan that Rutland made when black-faced Clifford shook his sword at him, nor when thy warlike father, like a child, told the sad story of my father's death, and 20 times made pause to sob and weep, that all the standers by had wet their cheeks like trees bedashed with rain. In that sad time, my manly eyes did scorn and humble tear. And what these sorrows could not thence exhale, thy beauty hath, and made them blind with weeping. I never sued to friend nor enemy. My tongue could never learn sweet, smoothing word. But now thy beauty is proposed my fee. My proud heart sues and prompts my tongue to speak. Teach not thy lips such scorn, for they were made for kissing, lady, not for such contempt. If thy revengeful heart cannot forgive, lo, here I lend thee this sharp-pointed sword, which if thou please to hide it in this true bosom, and let the soul forth that adoreth thee, I lay it naked to the deadly stroke, and humbly beg the death upon my knee. Nay, do not pause, for I did kill King Henry, but 'twas thy beauty that provoked me. Nay, now dispatch, 'twas I that stabbed young Edward, but 'twas thy heavenly face that set me on. Take up the sword again, or take up me.
Arise, dissembler. Though I wish thy death, I will not be the executioner.
Then bid me kill myself, and I will do it.
I have already.
Tush, that was in thy rage. Speak it again, and even with the word, that hand which for thy love did kill thy love, shall for thy love kill a far truer love. To both their deaths thou shalt be accessory.
I would I knew thy heart.
'Tis figured in my tongue.
I fear me both are false.
The never man was true.
Well, well, put up your sword.
Say, then, my peace is made.
That shall you know hereafter.
But shall I live in hope?
All men, I hope, live so.
Vouchsafe to wear this ring.
To take is not to give.
Look how this ring encompasseth thy finger. Even so thy breast encloseth my poor heart. Wear both of them, for both of them are thine. And if thy poor devoted supplicant may but beg one favor at thy gracious hand, thou dost confirm his happiness forever.
What is it?
That it would please thee leave these sad designs to him that hath more cause to be a mourner, and presently repair to Cosby Place, where, after I have solemnly interred at Chertsey Monastery this noble king, and wet his grave with my repentant tears, I will, with all expedient duty, see you. For divers unknown reasons, I beseech you, grant me this boon.
With all my heart, and much it joys me too to see you are become so penitent. Tressel and Berkeley, go along with me.
Bid me farewell.
'Tis more than you deserve. But since you teach me how to flatter you, imagine I have said farewell already.
Thank you. That was wonderful. So our next scene is going to be Henry IV, Part 1, Act 1, Scene 2. Actors prepare. Following that, we will have Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 3, and then Taming of the Shrew, Act 2, Scene 1. So now is Henry IV, Part 1, Act 1, Scene 2. Our actors are Hotspur, played by Joe, and the Lady Percy, played by Tamara. And in this scene, Hotspur is hiding a secret, and his wife, Lady Percy, is trying to suss out whether her husband is planning to go to war. Actors?
But for my own part, my lord, I could be well contented to be there in respect of the love I bear your house. He could be contented. Why is he not then? In respect of the love he bears our house, he shows in this. He loves his own barn better than he loves our house. Let me see some more. The purpose you undertake is dangerous. Why, that's certain. 'Tis dangerous to take a cold, to sleep, to drink. But I tell you, my lord fool, out of this nettle, danger, we pluck this flower, safety. The purpose you undertake is dangerous. The friends you have named uncertain. The time itself unsordid, and your whole plot too light for the counterpoise of so great an opposition. What say you so? Say you so? I say unto you again, you are a shallow, cowardly hind, and you lie. What a lack brain is this? By the Lord, our plot is a good plot, as ever we were laid. Are friends true and constant? A good plot, good friends, and full of expectation. An excellent plot, very good friends. What a frosty spirited rogue is this? Why, my Lord of York commends the plot and the general course of action. Sounds, and I were now by this rascal, I could brain him with his lady's fan. Is there not my father, my uncle, and myself, Lord Edmund Mortimer, my Lord of York, and Owen Glendower? Is there not beside the Douglas? I have not all their letters to meet me in arms by the 9th of next month, and are they not, some of them, set forward already? What a pagan rascal is this? An infidel! Ha! You shall see now, in very sincerity of fear and cold heart, will he to the king and lay open all our proceedings. Well, I could divide myself and go to buffets for moving such a dish of skim milk with so honorable an action. Hang him! Let him tell the king, we are prepared. I'll set forward tonight. How now, Kate? I must leave you within these 2 hours.
Good my lord, why are you thus alone? For what offense have I this fortnight been a banished woman from my Harry's bed? Tell me, sweet lord, what is it that takes from thee thy stomach, pleasure in thy golden sleep? Why dost thou bend thine eyes upon the earth, and start so often when thou sittest alone? Why hast thou lost the fresh blood in thy cheeks, and given my treasures and my rights of thee to thick-eyed musing and cursed melancholy? In thy faint slumbers I by thee have watched, and heard thee murmur tales of iron wars, speak terms of manage to thy bounding steed, cry courage to the field, and thou hast talked of sallies and retires, of trenches, tents, palisadoes, frontiers, parapets, of basilisks, of cannon, culverin, of prisoners' ransom, and of soldiers slain, and all the currents of a heady fight. Thy spirit within thee hath been so at war, and thus hath so bestirred thee in thy sleep that beads of sweat have stood upon thy brow like bubbles in a late disturbed stream, and in thy face strange emotions have appeared, such as we see when men restrain their breath on some great sudden hest. Ah, what portents are these? Some heavy business hath my lord in hand, and I must know it, else he loves me not.
What ho! Is Gillums with the packet gone?
Yes, my lord, an hour ago.
Hath Butler brought those horses from the sheriff?
One horse, my lord, he brought even now.
What horse? A roan, a crop ear, is it not?
It is, my lord.
That roan shall be my throne. Well, I will back him straight. Oh, Esperance, bid Butler lead him forth into the pack.
But hear you, my lord.
What sayest thou, my lady?
What is it that carries you away?
Why, my horse, my love, my horse.
Out, you mad-headed ape! A weasel hath not such a deal of spleen as you are tossed with. In faith, I'll know thy business, Harry, that I will. I fear my brother Mortimer doth stir about his title, and hath sent for you to line his enterprise. But if you go...
So far afoot, I shall be weary, love.
Come, you parakeet, answer me directly unto this question that I ask. In faith, I'll break thy little finger, Harry, if thou wilt not tell me all things true.
Away, away, you trifler. Love. I love thee not. I care not for thee, Kate. This is no world to play with mammoths and to tilt with lips. We must have bloody noses and cracked crowns and pass them current too. God's me, my horse! What sayest thou, Kate? What wouldst thou have with me?
Do you not love me? Do you not, indeed? Well, do not then, for since you love me not, I will not love myself. Do you not love me? Nay, tell me if you speak in jest or no.
Come, wilt thou see me ride? and when I am on horseback, I will swear I love thee infinitely. But hark you, Kate, I must not have you henceforth question me whither I go, nor reason whereabout. Whither I must, I must. And to conclude, this evening must I leave you, gentle Kate. I know you wise, but yet no farther wise than Harry Percy's wife. Constant you are, but yet a woman. And for secrecy, no lady closer. For I well believe thou wilt not utter what thou dost not know. And so far will I trust thee, gentle Kate.
How? So far.
Not an inch further. But hark you, Kate, whither I go, thither shall you go too. Today will I set forth, tomorrow you. Will this content you, Kate?
It must, of course.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. So next we're going to have Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 3, actors prepare. Following that will be Taming of the Shrew, Act 2, Scene 1, and Chink in the Wall for Midsummer Night's Dream. So our current scene is Romeo and Juliet. Act 2, Scene 3, our actors are Romeo, played by Steve, and the Friar, played by Kevin. Romeo comes to visit Friar Lawrence early in the morning after the famed balcony scene with Juliet. He has a special request to ask of the Friar. Actors?
Steve, on your go.
Are you gonna do the monologue prior to?
No, just jump right into the two of us.
Good morrow, Father.
Benedicite! What early tongue so sweet saluteth me? Ah, young son, it argues a distempered head so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed. Care keeps his watch in every old man's eye, and where care lodges, sleep will never lie. But where unbruised youth with unstuffed brain doth couch his limbs, there golden sleep doth reign. Therefore thy earliness doth me assure thou art uproused by some distemperature. Or, if not so, then here I hit it right. Our Romeo hath not been in bed tonight.
The last is true, the sweeter rest was mine.
God pardon sin. Wast thou with Rosaline?
Is Rosaline my ghostly father? No! I forgot that name, and that name is my woe.
That's my good son. But where hast thou been then?
I will tell thee, you're now asking me again. I've been feasting with my enemy, where on a sudden one has wounded me, and that's by me wounded. Both our remedies within thy help and holy physics lies. I hear no hatred, bless the man for lo. My intercession likewise stays my foe.
Be plain, good son, and homely in thy drift. Riddling confession finds but riddling shrift.
Then plainly know my heart's dear love is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers set on mine, and all combined say what thou must combine by holy marriage. When and where and how we met, we wooed and made exchange of vow. I'll tell thee as we pass, but this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today.
Holy Saint Francis, what a change is here! Is Rosaline, that thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Jesu Maria, what a deal of brine hath washed thy sallow cheeks for Rosaline! How much salt water thrown away in waste to season love, that of it doth not taste. The sun not yet thy sighs from heaven clears. Thy old groans in mine ancient ears. Lo, here upon thy cheek the stain doth sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. If e'er thou wast thyself, and these woes thine, thou and these woes were all for Rosaline. And art thou changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men.
Thou chidest me up for loving Rosaline.
For doting, not for loving, pupil mine.
And best me bury love.
Not in a grave to lay one in, another out to have.
I pray thee chide not she whom I love now, as grace for grace and love for love allow. The other did not so.
Oh, she knew well thy love did read by rote and could not spell. But come, young waverer, come, go with me. In one respect I'll thy assistant be, for this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love.
Ah, let us hence. I stand on sudden haste.
Wisely and slow. They stumble that run fast.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. That was wonderful. Next, we're going to have Taming of the Shrew, Act 2, Scene 1. Actors prepare. Following that, we'll have Chink in the Wall by Michael, and then The Seagull, Act 3. So our next scene is Taming of the Shrew, Act 2, Scene 1. Our actors are Kate, played by Christine, and Petruchio, played by Joe. Petruchio, who has decided to marry Catherine in order to raise his status, meets her determined to overcome her well-known difficult personality. Joe, are you ready?
But here she comes. And now, Petruchio, speak. Good morrow, Kate, for that's your name, I hear.
Well, you have heard, but something hard of hearing. They call me Catherine, that do talk of me.
You lie, in faith, for you are called Plain Kate, and Bonnie Kate, and sometimes Kate the Cursed, but Kate, the prettiest Kate in Christendom, Kate of Kate Hall, my super dainty Kate, for dainties are all Kates, and therefore, Kate, take this of me, Kate of my consolation. Hearing thy mildness praised in every town, the virtue spoke of, and thy beauty sounded, yet not so deeply as to thee belongs, myself am moved to woo thee for my wife.
Moved? In good time, let him that moved you hither remove you hence. I knew you at the first, you were immovable.
Why? What's immovable?
A joint stool.
Thou hast hit it. Come, sit on me.
Asses are made to bear, and so are you.
Women are made to bear, and so are you.
No such jade as you, if me you mean.
Alas, good Kate, I will not burden thee, for knowing thee to be but young and light.
Too light for such a swain as you to catch, and yet as heavy as my weight should be.
Should buzz.
Well ta'en, like a buzzard.
Oh, slow-winged turtle, shall a buzzard take thee?
Aye, for a turtle as he takes a buzzard.
Come, you wasp. I' faith, you are too angry.
If I be waspish, best beware my sting.
My remedy is then to pluck it out.
Aye, if the fool could find where it lies.
Who knows not where a wasp does wear his sting? In his tail.
In his tongue.
Whose tongue?
Yours, if you talk of tails. And so farewell.
What, with my tongue in your tail? Nay, come again, good Kate. I am a gentleman.
That I'll try.
I swear I'll cuff you if you strike again.
So may you lose your arms. If you strike me, you are no gentleman. And if no gentleman, why, then no arms.
A herald, Kate? Oh, put me in thy books.
What is your crest? A coxcomb?
A combless cock, so Kate will be my hen.
No cock of mine, you crow too like a craven.
Nay, come, Kate, come. You must not look so sour.
It is my fashion when I see a crab.
Why, here's no crab, and therefore look not sour.
There is.
Then show it me.
Had I a glass, I would.
What, you mean my face?
Well aimed of such a young one.
Now, by St. George, I am too young for you.
Yet you are withered.
'Tis with cares.
I care not.
Nay, hear you, Kate. In sooth, you scape not so.
I chafe you, if I tarry, let me go.
No, not a whit. I find you passing gentle. 'Twas told me you were rough and coy and sullen, and now I find report a very liar, for thou art pleasant, gamesome, passing courteous, but slow in speech, yet sweet as springtime flowers. Thou canst not frown, thou canst not look askance, nor bite thy lip, as angry wenches will. Nor hast thou pleasure to be cross in talk, but thou with mildness entertainest thy wooers with gentle conference, soft and affable. Why does the world report that Kate doth limp? Ah, slanderous world! Kate, like the hazel twig, is straight and slender and as brown in hue as hazelnuts, and sweeter than the kernels. Oh, let me see thee walk. Thou dost not halt.
Go, fool, and whom thou keepst command.
Did ever Diane so become a grove as Kate, this chamber with her princely gait? Oh, be thou Diane, and let her be Kate, and then let Kate be chaste, and Diane sportful.
Where did you study all this goodly speech?
It is extempore, from my mother wit.
A witty mother, witless else her son.
Am I not wise?
Yes, to keep you warm.
Marry, so I mean, sweet Katharina, in thy bed. And therefore, setting all this chat aside, thus in plain terms, your father has consented that you shall be my wife, your dowry agreed on, and will you, nill you, I will marry you.
Thank you, Joe. That was a lot of fun for me. Up next, we will have Chink in the Wall for Midsummer Night's Dream. Michael, prepare. Following that will be The Seagull, Act 3, Henry IV, Part 1, Act 2, Scene 4. So now we have Chink in the Wall for A Midsummer Night's Dream. Michael?
In this very same interlude, it doth befall that I, one Snout by name, should present a wall. And such a wall as I would have you think that had in it a crannied hole or chink through which the lovers, Pyramus and Thisbe did whisper often, very secretly, this loam, this rough cast, and this stone doth show that I am that very wall. And here the cranny lies right and sinister, through which the fearful lovers are to whisper.
Thank you, Michael. That was fantastic. I enjoyed your props. Next, we will have The Seagull, Act 3. Actors, please prepare. Following that will be Henry IV, Part 1, Act 2, Scene 4. And following that will be a scene from The Importance of Being Earnest. So now we have The Seagull, Act 3. Our actors are Masha, played by Rena, and Trigorin, played by Chris. Trigorin sits at a table eating lunch. Masha keeps Trigorin company, speaking to him as he writes. Actors?
I'm telling you all this because you're a writer. You can use it in something. Quite seriously, if he had wounded himself badly, I couldn't have gone on living for another moment. I've got courage, though. I thought, right. I made up my mind to tear this love out of my heart, to tear it out by the roots.
How?
I'm going to get married. To Medvedenko.
The school teacher?
Yes.
I don't see the need for that.
Loving without hope? Waiting year after year for something to happen. I'm certainly not marrying for love, but I'll have new troubles to drown out the old. Be a change, anyway. Have another, shall we?
Won't that be rather a lot?
Oh, come on. There's no need to look at me like that. Women are more often drinkers than you realize. A few of them drink openly, like me, but most of them do it in secret. Oh, yes, and always vodka or brandy. Here's to you. There's no nonsense about you. I'll be sorry to see you go.
I don't much want to go myself.
Ask her to stay, then.
No, she won't stay now. Her son's being extremely awkward. First, he was going to try to shoot himself. Now, so I gather, he's going to challenge me to a duel. I don't know what for. He huffs and puffs, he preaches his new forms. But there's room for all, surely, new and old alike. No need to elbow each other aside.
Now, how about jealousy? Not that it's any of my business. My school teacher isn't very clever, but he's a kind man, and well, he's poor, and he's very much in love with me. I feel sorry for him. I even feel sorry for his old mother. Anyway, let me wish you all the best. Remember me kindly. I'm very grateful for you taking interest in me. Send me your book, though, and you must sign it. Don't put what you put for everybody else. Put to Masha of dubious descent and resident in this world for reason unknown. Goodbye. That's it.
Making sure. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. I was very enjoying it. So next we will have Henry IV, Part 1, Act 2, Scene 4. Actors prepare for that. Following that will be The Importance of Being Earnest, and then King Lear, Act 1, Scene 2. So we now have Henry IV, Part 1, Act 2, Scene 4. Our actors are Falstaff, played by Tamara, Hal, played by Richard, and the hostess, played by Michelle. In this scene, Prince Hal, after causing trouble and mischief, fools around at the tavern, pretending to be Hal's father, the king. Actors?
Here comes Lean Jack, here comes Barebone. How now, my sweet creature of bombast? How long is to go, Jack, since thou sawest thine own knee?
Mine own knee? When I was about 9 years, Hal, I was not an eagle's talon in the waist. I could have crept in any alderman's thumb ring. A plague of sighing and grief blows a man up like a bladder. There's villainous news abroad. Here was Sir John Bracy from your father. You must to the court in the morning. That same mad fellow of the north, Percy, and he of Wales that gave Amamon the bastinado and made Lucifer cuckold and swore the devil his true liegeman upon the cross of Welsh. What the plague was it you called him?
Oh, Glendower.
Owen! Owen, the same! And his son-in-law, Mortimer. And all Northumberland and that sprightly Scot of Scots, Douglas, that runs horseback up a hill perpendicular.
He that rides at high speed and with his pistol kills a sparrow flying.
You have hit it.
So did he never the sparrow.
Well, that rascal have good mettle in him. He will not run.
Why, what a rascal art thou then, to praise him so for running?
A horseback, you cuckoo. But a foot, he will not budge a foot.
Yes, Jack, upon instinct.
I grant ye upon instinct. Well, he is there too. And one more dake and 1,000 blue caps more. Worcester is stone weight tonight. My father's beard is turned white with the news. You might buy land now as cheap as stinking mackerel.
Why, then, it is like if there come a hot June and this civil buffeting hold, we shall buy maidenheads as they buy hobnails by the hundreds.
By the mass, lad, thou sayest true. Well, it is like we shall have good trading that way. But tell me, how? Art thou not horrible afeard? Thou being heir apparent, could the world pick thee out 3 such enemies again as that fiend Douglas, that spirit Percy, and that devil Glendower? Art thou not horribly afraid? Does not thy blood thrill at it?
Not a whit of faith. I lack some of thy instinct.
Well, thou wilt be horribly chid tomorrow when thou comes to thy father.
Oh.
If thou love me, practice an answer.
Do thou stand for my father and examine me upon the particulars of my life.
Shall I? Content. This chair shall be my state. This dagger, my scepter. And this cushion shall be my crown.
Thy state is taken for a joined stool, thy golden scepter for a leaden dagger, and thy precious rich crown for a pitiful bald crown.
Oh, well, and the fire of grace be not quite out of thee. Now shalt thou be moved. Give me a cup of sack to make my eyes look red, that I may be thought I have wept. For I must speak in passion, and I will do it in the King Cambus's vein.
Well, here's my leg.
And here is my speech. Stand aside, nobility.
Oh, Jesu, this is excellent sport, your faith.
Weep not, sweet queen, for trickling tears are vain.
The father, how he holds his countenance.
For God's sakes, lords, convey my tristful queen, for tears do stop the floodgates of her eyes.
Oh, Jesu, he doth that as like one of those harlotry players as ever I see.
Well, peace, good pint pot. Peace, good tickle brain. Harry, I do not only marvel where thou spendest thy time, but also how thou art accompanied. For thou hast the chamomile, the more it is trodden on the faster it grows, yet youth, the more it is wasted, the sooner it wears. That thou art my son, I have partly thy mother's word, partly my own opinion, but chiefly a villainous trick of thine eye, and a foolish hanging of thy nether lip, that doth warrant me. If then thou be son to me, here lies the point. Why, being son to me, art thou so pointed at? Shall the blessed Son of Heaven prove a maker and eat blackberries? A question not to be asked. Shall the Son of England prove a thief and take purses? A question to be asked. There is a thing, Harry, which thou hast often heard of and is known to many in our land by the name of pitch. This pitch, as ancient writers do report, doth defile. So doth the company thou keepest. For, Harry, now I do not speak to thee in drink, but in tears, not in pleasure, but in passion, not in words only, but in woes only also. And yet, there is a virtuous man whom I am often noted in thy company, but I know not his name.
What manner of man, an it like your majesty?
A goodly, portly man, fair and corpulent, of a cheerful look, pleasing eye, and a most noble carriage, and, as I think, his age some 50, or by a lady inclining to 80. And now I remember me, his name is Falstaff. If that man should be lewdly given, he deceiveth me. For, Harry, I see virtue in his looks. If then the tree may be known by the fruit, as the fruit by the tree, then peremptorily I speak it. There is virtue in that Falstaff. And keep with the rest, banish. And tell me now, thou naughty varlet, tell me, where hast thou been this month?
Dost thou speak like a king? Do thou stand for me, and I'll play my father.
Depose me. Thou dost it half so gravely, so majestically, both in word and matter. Hang me up by the heels for a rabbit sucker or a poulter's hair.
Okay. Well, here I am set.
Oh, and here I stand. Judge Masters.
Now, Harry, whence came you?
Oh, my noble lord from Eastcheap.
The complaints I hear of thee are grievous.
What, my lord, they are false. Nay, I'll tickle ye for a young prince of faith.
Swearest thou, ungracious boy, henceforth never look upon me. Thou art violently carried away from grace. There is a devil haunts thee in the likeness of an old fat man. A ton of man is thy companion. Why dost thou converse with that trunk of humors, that bolting hutch of beastliness, that swollen parcel of dropsies, that huge bombard of sack, that stuffed cloak bag of guts, that roasted Manningtree ox with the pudding in his belly, that reverend vice, that grey iniquity, that father ruffian, that vanity in years, wherein is he good but to taste sack and drink it? Wherein neat and cleanly but to carve a capon and eat it? Wherein cunning but in craft? Wherein crafty but in villainy? Wherein villainous but in all things? Wherein worthy but in nothing?
I would your grace would take me with you. Whom means your grace?
That villainous, abominable misleader of youth, Falstaff, that old white-bearded Satan.
My lord, the man I know.
I know thou dost.
But to say I know him more harm in him than in myself, or to say more than I know. That he is old, the more the pity. His white hairs do witness it. But that he is, saving your reverence, a whoremaster, that I utterly deny. If sack and sugar be a fault, God help the wicked. If to be old and merry be a sin, then many an old host that I know is damned. If to be fat is to be hated, then Pharaoh's lean kind are to be loved. No, my good lord, banish Peto, banish Bardolph, banish Poins, but for sweet Jack Falstaff, kind Jack Falstaff, true Jack Falstaff, valiant Jack Falstaff, and therefore more valiant, being as he is old Jack Falstaff. Banish not him thy Harry's company, banish not him thy Harry's company. Banish plump Jack and banish all the world.
I do. I will.
Wonderful, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. I also enjoyed your props. Next, we're going to have a scene from The Importance of Being Earnest. Actors prepare. Following that, we will have King Lear, Act 1, Scene 2, and then Othello, Act 4, Scene 3. So coming back here, we have The Importance of Being Earnest. Our actors are Cecily, played by Vera, and Gwendolyn, played by Molly. Gwendolyn and Cecily, both of whom believe their fiancés are named Ernest, meet for the first time. Actors?
Pray let me introduce myself. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Molly, you're muted.
Oh no! As I was saying, Cecily Cardew! What a very sweet name. Something tells me that we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much when we have known each other such a comparatively short time. Pray sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Then that is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this might be a favourable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have never heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside the family circle, Papa, I am glad to say, is entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. The home seems to me to be the proper sphere for the man, and certainly once a man begins to neglect his domestic duties, he becomes painfully effeminate, does he not? And I don't like that. It makes men so very attractive. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It is part of her system, so do you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolen. I am very fond of being looked at.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose.
Oh no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also?
Oh no, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it is strange he never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I'm not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I'm very fond of you, Cecily. I've liked you ever since I met you. But I am bound to state now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward. I cannot help expressing a wish you were, well, just a little older than you seem to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly...
Pray do. I think whenever one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
Well, to speak with perfect candour, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42 and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He's the very soul of truth and honour. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the influence of the physical charms of others. Modern, no less than ancient history, supplies us with many most painful examples of what I refer to. If it were not so indeed, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolen, did you say Ernest?
Yes.
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm sorry to say they have not been on good terms for quite some time.
Oh, well, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I have never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course, you are quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
Dearest Gwendolen, there is no reason why I should make a secret of it to you. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I think there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
I'm afraid you must be under some misconception. Ernest proposed to me just 10 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I'm afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than I can tell you, dear Gwendolen, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest proposed to you, he clearly has changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once and with a firm hand.
Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have got into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for wearing the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
I am glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres have been widely different.
Lady here as usual, Merriman.
Any interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Oh yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills quite close, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is why you live in town.
Quite a well-kept garden this is, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot understand how anybody manages to exist in the country. If anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
Ah, this is what the newspapers call agricultural depression, is it not? I believe the aristocracy are suffering very much from it just at present. It is almost an epidemic amongst them, I've been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
Oh, no, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best households nowadays.
Hand that to Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentlemanness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature, but I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any other girl, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
From the moment I saw you, I detested you. I felt that you were false and deceitful. I'm never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I am trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood.
Yay! Thank you. All right, so next we are going to have King Lear, Act 1, Scene 2, actors prepare. Following that will be Othello, Act 4, Scene 3, and As You Like It, Act 3, Scene 2. Now we have King Lear, Act 1, Scene 2. Your actor is Edmund, played by Zach. Edmund, frustrated with his disapproval for being a bastard, complains to nature herself why society shuns him. He voices his jealousy at his brother Edgar and his goals to taint his name with the letter he's crafted for his father, Gloucester, because I can pronounce that town. Actors.
Thou, nature, art my goddess. To thy law my services are bound. Wherefore should I stand in the plague of custom and permit the curiosity of nations to deprive me, for that I am some 12 or 14 moonshines lag of my brother? Why, bastard. Wherefore, base. When my dimensions are as well compact, my mind as generous, and my shape as true, as honest madam's issue. Why brand they us with base? With baseness? Bastardy? Base? Who in the lusty stealth of nature take more composition and fierce quality than doth within a dull, stale, tired bed go to the creating a whole tribe of fops, got tween asleep and wake? Well, then, legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund, as to the legitimate, fine word, legitimate. Well, my legitimate is this letter speed, and my invitation thrive. Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. Now, gods, stand up for bastards.
Thank you. Well done. Next, we will have Othello, Act 4, Scene 3, Actors Prepare, followed by As You Like It, Act 3, Scene 2, and a monologue from Faustus. So currently we are at Othello, Act 4, Scene 3. Your actors are Desdemona, played by Rebecca, and Emilia, played by Christine. In this scene, Desdemona and her attendant Emilia converse before bed. In the previous scene, Othello, Desdemona's husband, has treated her cruelly under the false assumption that she has been unfaithful. How goes it now? He looks gentler than he did.
He says he will return incontinent. He hath commanded me to go to bed and bade me dismiss you.
Dismiss me?
It was his bidding. Therefore, good Emilia, give me my nightly wearing and adieu. We must not now displease him.
I would you had never seen him.
So would not I. My love doth so approve him that even his stubbornness, his checks, his frowns, prithee unpin me, have grace and favor in them.
I have laid these sheets you bade me on the bed.
All's one. Good faith, how foolish are our minds. If I do die before thee, prithee, shroud me in one of those same sheets.
Come, you talk.
My mother had a maid called Barbara. She was in love, and he she loved proved mad and did forsake her. She had a song of willow, an old thing 'twas, but it expressed her fortune. And she died singing it. That song tonight will not go from my mind. I have much to do but to go hang my head all at one side and sing it like poor Barbara. Prithee, dispatch.
Shall I go fetch your nightgown?
No, unpin me here. This Lodovico is a proper man.
A very handsome man.
He speaks well.
I know a lady in Venice would have walked barefoot to Palestine for a touch of his nether lip.
The poor soul sat sighing by a sycamore tree. Sing all a green willow. Her hand on her bosom, her head on her knee. Sing willow, willow, willow. The fresh streams ran by her and murmured her moans. Sing willow, willow, willow. Her salt tears fell from her and softened the stone. Oh, they buy these. Sing willow, willow, willow. Prithee hide thee, he'll come anon. Sing all the green willow must be my garland. Let nobody blame him, his scorn I approve. Nay, that's not next. Hark, who's it that knocks?
It is the wind.
I called my love false love, but what said he then? Sing willow, willow, willow. If I court more women, you'll couch with more men. Get thee gone. Good night. Ugh, my eyes do itch. Doth that bode weeping?
It is neither here nor there.
I have heard it said so. These men! Dost thou in conscience think, tell me, Amelia, that there be women to abuse their husbands in such gross kind?
There be some such, no question.
Wouldst thou do such a deed for all the world?
Why, would not you?
No, by this heavenly light.
Nor I neither by this heavenly light. I might do it as well in the dark.
Wouldst thou do such a deed for all the world?
The world's a huge thing. It is a great price for a small vice.
In troth, I think thou wouldst not.
In troth, I think I should, and undo it when I had done. Mary, I would not do such a thing for a joint ring, nor for measures of lawn, nor for gowns, petticoats, nor caps, nor any petty exhibition. But for all the whole world? Why, who would not make her husband a cuckold to make him a monarch? I should venture purgatory for it.
Beshrew me if I would do such a wrong for the whole world.
Why, the wrong is but a wrong in the world. And having the world for your labor, 'tis a wrong in your own world, and you might quickly make it right.
I do not think there is any such woman.
Yes, a dozen, and as many to the vantage as would store the world they played for. But I do think it is their husbands' fault if wives do fall. See, they slacken their duties and pour our treasures into foreign laps, or else break out in peevish jealousies, throwing restraint upon us, or say they strike us, or scant our former having in despite. Why, we have galls, and though we have some grace, yet we have some revenge. Let husbands know their wives have sense like them. They see and smell and have their palates both for sweet and sour, as husbands have. What is it that they do when they change us for others? Is it sport? I think it is. Doth affection breed it? I think it doth. Is frailty that thus errs? It is so too. And have we not affections, desires for sport, and frailty as men have? Then let them use us well, else let them know the ills we do, their ills instruct us so.
Good night, good night. Heaven me, such use is send, not to pick bad from bad, but by bad mend.
Thank you. These are so much fun. Okay. Next we will have As You Like It, Act 3, Scene 2, actors prepare. Following that will be a monologue from Faustus, and then Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 2. Now we have As You Like It, Act 3, Scene 2. Our actors are Celia, played by Mary, and Rosalind, played by Rena. I think I wrote your name illegibly, not Rena.
It's Rebecca.
Rebecca. I wrote R-E and stopped, which is me. Okay, so Celia played by Mary and Rosalind played by Rebecca. In this scene, Celia and Rosalind have found a love poem hung in a tree. They have been hiding under disguise in the forest and did not know that Orlando, Rosalind's love interest, was also there. Actors?
Peace, here comes my sister reading. Stand aside.
Why should this a desert be? For it is unpeopled? No. Tongues I'll hang in every tree, that shall civil sayings show. Some, how brief the life of man runs, erring his pilgrimage, that the stretching of a span buckles in its sum of age. Some, of violated vows twixt the souls of friend and friend. But upon the fairest vows, or at every sentence end, will I, Rosalinda, write, teaching all that read to know the quintessence of every sprite heaven would in little show. Therefore, heaven nature charged that one body should be filled with all graces wide and large. Nature presently distilled Helen's cheek, but not her heart. Cleopatra's majesty, Atalanta's better part, sad Lucretia's modesty. Thus Rosalind by many parts by heavenly synod was devised, of many faces, eyes, and hearts, to have the touches dearest prized. Heaven would that she these gifts should have, and I to live and die her slave. Oh.
Most gentle pulpiter, what tedious homily of love have you wearied your parishioners withal, and never cried, have patience, good people.
How now? Back, friends. Shepherd, go off a little. Go with him, sirrah. Didst thou hear these verses?
Yes, I heard them all, and more too, for some of them had in them more feet than the verses would bear.
That's no matter. The feet might bear the verses.
Aye, but the feet were lame, and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear, without wondering, how thy name should be hanged and carved upon these trees?
I was 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came, for look here what I have found on a palm tree. I was never so berhymed since Pythagoras' time that I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you who hath done this?
Is it a man?
And a chain that you once wore around his neck? Change you color?
I prithee, who?
Oh, Lord, Lord. It is a hard matter for friends to meet, but mountains may be removed with earthquakes and so encounter.
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
Nay, I prithee now, with most petitionary vehemence, tell me who it is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, wonderful, and yet again wonderful, and after all hooping.
Good my complexion! Dost thou think, though I am caparisoned like a man, I have a doublet and hose in my disposition? 1 inch of delay more is a South Sea of discovery. I prithee, tell me who it is quickly, and speak apace. I wouldst thou could stammer, that thou mightest pour this concealed man out of thy mouth, as wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once or none at all. I prithee, take the cork out of thy mouth, that I may drink thy tidings.
So you may put a man in your belly.
Is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Nay, he hath but a little beard.
Why, God will send him more, if the man will be thankful. Oh, let me stay the growth of his beard, if thou delay me not the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando, that tripped up the wrestler's heels in your heart, both in an instant.
Nay, but the devil take mocking. Speak, sad brow and true maid.
I'faith, coz, 'tis he.
Orlando.
Orlando!
Alas the day! What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he when thou sawest him? What said he? How looked he? Where and went he? What makes him here? Did he ask for me? What remains he? How parted he with thee? And when shalt thou see him again? Answer me in one word.
You must borrow me gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for any mouth of this age's size. To say aye and no to these particulars is to answer to a catechism.
But doth he know that I am in this forest and in man's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day he wrestled?
It is as easy to count enemies as to resolve the propositions of a lover. But take a taste of my finding him, and relish it with good observance. I found him under a tree, like a dropped acorn.
It may well be called Jove's tree when it drops forth such fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There he lay, stretched along like a wounded knight.
Though it be pity to see such a sight, it well becomes the ground.
Cry hollow to thy tongue, I prithee, it curvets unseasonably. He was furnished like a hunter.
Ominous! He comes to kill my heart.
I would sing my song without a burden that brings me out of tune.
Do you not know I am a woman? When I think I must speak, sweet, say on.
That's it.
All right, thank you both. Sorry, taking over for potentially the rest of the night as your quote-unquote stage manager, trying to fill in as best I can. Coming up next, we have a monologue from Faustus. Following that, we'll have Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 2, and then a monologue from the Comedy of Errors, Act 2, Scene 2. We move now to Carl as Dr. Faustus. Carl, proceed.
Settle thy studies, Faustus, and begin to sound the depth of that thou wilt profess. Having commenced, be a divine in show, yet level at the end of every art. And live and die in Aristotle's works. Sweet analytics, 'tis thou hast ravished me. Bene discerere est finis logices. Is to dispute well logic's chiefest end? Affords this art no greater miracle? Then read no more, thou hast attained that end. Greater subject fitteth Faustus' wit, bid economy farewell, and Galen come. Be a physician, Faustus, heap up gold, and be eternized for some wondrous cure. Summum bonum medicinae sanitas. The end of physic is our body's health. My Faustus, hast thou not attained that end? Are not thy bills hung up as monuments, whereby whole cities have escaped the plague and 1,000 desperate maladies been cured? Yet art thou still but Faustus, and a man. Couldst thou make men to live eternally, or being dead, raise them to life again? Then this profession were to be esteemed. Physic, farewell. Where's Justinian? Si una edimque res legatur duobis autor valorem rei, etc. Petty case, paltry legacies. Ex hereditare filium non potest pater nisi. Such is the subject of the Institute and universal body of the law. The study fits a mercenary drudge who aims at nothing but external trash. Too servile and liberal for me. When all is done, divinity is best. Jerome's Bible, Faustus. You it well. Stipendium peccati mors est. Ha! Stipendium, etc. The reward of sin is death? That's hard. Si peccase negamus, felimor et nulla est in nobis veritas. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves and there is no truth in us. Why then, belike we must sin, and so consequently die. Aye, we must die an everlasting death. What doctrine call you this? Que sera, sera, what will be shall be, divinity adieu. These metaphysics of magicians and necromantic books are heavenly. Lines, circles, letters, characters. Aye, these are those that Faustus most desires. Oh, what a world of profit and delight, of power, of honor, and omnipotence is promised to the studious artisan. All things that move between the quiet poles shall be at my command. Emperors and kings are but obeyed in their several provinces, but his dominion that exceeds in this stretcheth as far as doth the mind of man. A sound magician is a demigod. Here tire my brains to get the deity. Wagner! Commend me to my dearest friends, the German Valdez and Cornelius. Request them earnestly to visit me. Their conference will be a greater help to me than all my labors. Plod I near so fast. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Well done, sir. All right, moving forward, we have Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 2. Actors ready for that. Following which, we have a double dose of the Comedy of Errors. We have Kelly performing Adriana from Act 2, Scene 2. That'll be on deck. Following that, Comedy of Errors, Act 3, Scene 2. Right now, we go to Romeo and Juliet, Act 1, Scene 2. We have Liz as the wife, Michelle as the nurse, Mary as Juliet. In preparation for a ball at the Capulet house, Lady Capulet struggles to parent her daughter, Juliet, with or without the help of Juliet's nurse. Actors.
Nurse, where's my daughter? Call her forth to me.
Now, by my maidenhead, a 12-year-old, I bade her come. What, lamb? What, ladybird? God forbid. Where's this girl? What? Juliet!
Ah, now, who calls?
Your mother.
Madam, I am here. What is your will?
This is the matter. Nurse, give leave a while. We must talk in secret. Nurse, come back again. I have remembered me. Thou should hear our counsel. Thou knowest my daughters of a pretty age.
Faith, I can tell her age unto an hour.
She's not 14.
I'll lay 14 of my teeth, and yet, to be it spoken I have before, she is not 14. How long is it now till Lammastide?
A fortnight in odd days.
Even or odd, of all days in the year, come Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. She was too good for me. But as I said, on Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. That she shall. Mary, I remember it well. 'Tis since the earthquake now 11 years, and she was weaned. I shall never forget it. Of all the days of the year, upon that day, for I had then laid wormwood to my dog, sitting under the sun, in the sun, under the dove house wall. My lord and you were at Mantua. Nay, I do bear a brain. But as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dog and felt it bitter, pretty fool to see it touchy and fall out with the dog. Shake quoth the dove house, 'twas no need I trow to bid me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years. For then she could have run and waddled all about. Nay, by the root. For even the day before she broke her brow, and then my husband, God be with his soul, was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou hast more wit, wilt thou not, Jewel? And by my holy dame, just the pretty wretch left crying and said, to see now how a jest shall come about, I warrant, and I should live 1,000 years, I should never forget. Wilt thou not, Jewel, quoth he? And pretty fool it stinted and said, I.
Enough of this. I pray thee, hold thy peace.
Yes, madam. Yet I cannot just but laugh to think it should leave crying and say I. And yet I warrant it had upon its brow a bump as big as a young cockerel stone, a powerless knock, and it cried bitterly. Well, yea, quoth my husband, fallest thou upon thy face. Thou wilt fall backward when thou comest to age, wilt thou not, Jewel?
And stint thou too, I pray thee, nurse, say I.
Peace, I have done. God mark thee to his grace. Thou wast the prettiest babe that e'er I nursed, and I might live to see thee married once I have my wish.
Mary, that Mary is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married?
It is an honor I dream not of.
An honor! Were not I thine own nurse, I would say thou hadst sucked wisdom from thy teat.
Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you, here in Verona, ladies of esteem are made already mothers. By my count, I was mother much upon these years, that you are now a maid. Thus, then in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love.
Man, young lady, such a man. Has all the world, why, he's a man of wax.
Verona's summer hath not such a flower.
Nay, he's a flower, in faith a very flower.
What say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast, read o'er the volume of young Paris's face, and find delight writ there with beauty's pen. Examine every married lineament, and see how one another leads content. And what obscured in this fair volume lies, find written in the margins of his eyes. This precious book of love, this unbound lover, to beautify him only lacks a cover. The fish lives in the sea, and 'tis much pride, for fair without the fair within to hide. That book in many's eyes doth share the glory, that in gold clasped locks in the golden story. So shall you share all that he doth possess, by having him, making yourself no less.
No less, nay, bigger. Women grow by men.
Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris's love?
I'll look to like, if looking liking move, but no more deep will I endart mine eye than your consent gives strength to make fly.
Madam, the guests are come, supper served up, you called, my young lady asked for, the nurse cursed in the pantry, and everything in extremity. I must hence to wait, I beseech you, follow straight.
We follow thee, Juliet. The county stays.
Go, girl, seek happy nights to happy days.
Thank you very much, ladies. And for those of you keeping score at home, that was actually Act 1, Scene 3 of Romeo and Juliet. I had a bit of a typo there. Thank you to Liz, Lady Capulet, Michelle as the nurse, Mary as Juliet. We are moving on to the Comedy of Errors. We have Act 2, Scene 2. This is a monologue.
Just tell me when to go.
Jonathan, as performed by Kelly, who I see is ready. Kelly, go.
I, Antipholus, look pale and frown. Some other mistress hath thy sweet aspect. Well, I am not Adriana, nor thy wife. The time was once when thou, unmoved, would vow that never words were music to thine ear, that never object pleasing to thy sight, that never touch well welcome to thy hand, that never meet sweet savor to thy taste, unless I looked or spake or touched or carved to thee. Comes it then, my husband? Oh, how comes it that thou art then a stranger to thyself? Thyself I call it, being strange to me, that undividable, incorporate, and better than thy own self's better part. Do not tear thyself away from me. For know, my love, as easy mayest thou let fall a drop of water in the breaking gulf, and take unmingled thence that drop again, without addition or diminishing, as take from me thyself and not me too. How dearly would it cut thee to the quick, shouldst thou but hear that I were licentious, and that this body, consecrate to thee, by ruffian lust hath been contaminate? Wouldst thou not spit at me, and spurn at me, and hurl the name of husband in my face, and tear the stained skin from my harlot brow, and from my false hand cut the wedding ring and break it with a deep divorcing vow? I know thou canst, and therefore see thou do it. I am possessed of an adulterous blot. My blood is mingled with the grime of lust. For if we two be one and thou play'st false, I do digest the poison of thy sin, being strumpeted by thy contagion. Keep then fair league, and truce with thy true bed. I live disdained, thou undishonored. That's it.
Thank you very much, Kelly. That one's always been one of my favorites, so I appreciate that. All right, we've got 2 scenes left. We've got, as far as my count is, if I'm wrong on that, somebody correct me, but I've got Comedy of Errors, Act 3, Scene 2 next, followed by a scene from A Midsummer Night's Dream. That'll be Rena and Kat. Be ready on deck for that. Right now, we move to Comedy of Errors, Act 3, Scene 2, Dromio of Syracuse, played by yours truly, and Antipholus of Syracuse will be Steve. We're teamed up once again. In this scene, Antipholus of Syracuse has just professed his love to Luciana as his confused and confusing servant, Dromio of Syracuse, enters hastily, fleeing the love of a kitchen wench.
Why, how now, Romeo? Where runnest thou so fast?
Do you know me, sir? Am I Dromio? Am I your man? Am I myself?
Thou art Dromio. Thou art my man. Thou art thyself.
I am an ass. I am a woman's man, and besides myself.
What woman's man? And how besides yourself?
Marry, sir.
Besides thyself.
Marry, sir, besides myself. I am due to a woman, one that claims me, one that haunts me, one that will have me.
What claims lays she to thee?
Marry, sir, such claim as you would lay to your horse, and she would have me as a beast. Not that I, being a beast, she would have me, but that she, being a very beastly creature, lays claim to me.
What is she?
Oh, a very reverend body. Aye, such a one as a man may not speak of without he say, Sir Reverence. I have but lean luck in the match, and yet she is a wondrous fat marriage.
What dost thou mean of fat marriage?
Marry, sir, she's the kitchen wench, in all grease. And I know not what use to put her to, but to make a lamp of her and run from her by her own light. I warrant her rags and the tallow in them will burn a Poland winter. If she lives till doomsday, she'll burn a week longer than the whole world.
What complexion is she of?
Swart, like my shoe. But her face nothing like so clean kept, for why? She sweats. A man may go over shoes in the grime of it.
Oh, that's a fault that water will mind.
No, sir, 'tis in grain. Noah's flood could not do it.
What's her name?
Nell, sir, but her name in 3/4, that's an owl, and 3/4 will not measure her from hip to hip.
Then she bears some breadth?
No longer from head to foot than from hip to hip. She is spherical, like a globe. I could find out countries in her.
In what part of her body stands Ireland?
Marry, sir, in her buttocks. I found it out by the bogs.
Where's Scotland?
I found it by the Baroness, hard in the palm of her hand.
20 minutes.
We're France.
In her forehead, armed and reverted, making war against her hair.
We're England.
I looked for the chalky cliffs, but I could find no whiteness in them. But I guess it stood in her chin by the salt room that ran between France and it.
Where's Spain?
Faith, I saw it not, but I felt it hot in her breath.
What America, the Indies?
Oh, sir, upon her nose, all o'er-embellished with rubies, carbuncles, sapphires, declining their rich aspect to the hot breath of Spain, who sent whole armados of carracks to be ballast at her nose.
Where stood Belgium, the Netherlands?
Oh, sir, I did not look so low. To conclude, this drudge or diviner laid claim to me, called me Dromio, swore I was assured to her, told me what privy marks I had about me, as the mark of my shoulder, the mole in my neck, the great wart in my left arm, that I, amazed, ran from her as a witch. And I think, if my breast had not been made of faith and my heart of steel, she had transformed me to a curdled dog and made me turn of the wheel.
Go hide thee presently, post to the road, and if the wind blow any way from shore, I will not harbor you in this town tonight. If any park put forth, come to the mart, where I will walk till thou return to me. If everyone knows us and we know none, 'tis time, I think, to trudge. Pack and be gone.
As from a bear a man would run for life, so fly I from her that would be my wife. Thanks, Steve. Thank you very much. We've got one final scene for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and this one comes from A Midsummer Night's Dream, with Rena performing the role of Helena and Kat as Hermia. Hermia and her love Lysander have just decided to run away and elope. Helena enters, heartsick over Demetrius. Actors, the floor is yours.
Godspeed, fair Helena. Whither away? Rena, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Call you me fair. That fair again unsay. Demetrius loves your fair. Oh, happy fair. Your eyes are lodestars and your tongue sweet air. Sickness is catching. Oh, were favor so, yours would I catch, fair Hermia, ere I go. My ears should catch your voice, my eye your eye. My tongue should catch your tongue's sweet melody. Oh, teach me how you look and with what art you sway the motion of Demetrius' heart.
I frown on him, yet he loves me still.
Oh, that your frowns would teach my smile such skill.
I give him curses, yet he gives me love.
Oh, that my prayers could such affection move.
The more I hate, the more he follows me.
The more I love, the more he hateth me.
His folly, Helena, is no fault of mine.
None but your beauty. Would that fault were mine.
Take comfort. He no more shall see my face. Lysander and myself shall fly from this place. Before the time I did Lysander see, seemed Athens like a paradise to me. Oh then, what graces in my love do dwell, that he hath turned a heaven unto a hell. Helen, to you our minds we will unfold. Tomorrow night, when Phoebe doth behold her silver visage in the watery glass, a time that lover's flight doth still conceal, through Athens' gate we have devised to steal. And in the wood where you and I oh my God, I can't talk. Upon faint primrose beds were wont to lie, emptying our bosom of their counsel sweet. There my Lysander and myself shall meet. And thence from Athens turn away our eyes, to seek newer friends in stranger companies. Farewell, sweet playfellow. Pray thou for us. And good luck grant thee thy Demetrius.
Should I take it?
Go ahead, Tamara, the floor is yours.
Well, that was our scenes. That was and monologues. That was a blast. Thank you, everyone who's watching on Facebook. Thank you, all of our friends that are in this Zoom. It was so nice to see new faces and old faces. We went a bit long, so we're going to close it out now. But we hope we'll be doing another one on next Saturday, and we'll continue to do these as long as we are quarantined, and then we'll see what we do after that, because I don't want to say goodbye to some of these faces that are far away. I don't know about you. So some people had to go because they were observing holidays, but we're going to do bows with people who are here, and we're going to give props to those who are not. So Kevin.
Yes, hi. Thank you.
And please, everybody, demute yourself and make some noise. That way we can see your faces when it's your turn. Vera?
And thank you. Yay!
Molly?
Thank you.
Woohoo!
Oh, it's not.
Joe?
Thank you.
Rena?
Yay! Thanks for coming.
Michelle?
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Chris?
Thanks for watching.
Rich?
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you so much.
Steve?
Thank you, everybody.
Woo! Rebecca?
Hi, have a good night. Thank you.
Mary?
Bye. Great job, everyone.
Kat?
Thank you.
Carl?
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this is so much fun.
Kelly?
Yay, thank you for letting us play, guys.
Thank you for playing. And those wonderful people who had to jump out, we give our love to Zach. Who else am I missing? I'm saving Christine. Well, I'll just say Christine because I have her in my heart. Christine, our stage manager and wonderful actress. John, Remington, Dev. Am I missing anyone who jumped out?
Richard, I know, I think had to leave.
Who? I'm sorry, who?
I think Richard had to leave as well. Is that correct?
Nope, he's here.
Richard, you there? Oh, fantastic.
And thank you to Ernie for watching with us on Zoom the whole time. Next time we're gonna make you talk. Kevin, can you go off Facebook Live and we still talk, or
I believe
Christine
I
thing?
can. And bye, Facebook. Happy Easter. Donate to the center.
Bye. Yay. Okay, hi everybody.